Joining me now is Grant Bosse, the editorial page editor of the New Hampshire Union Leader. Mr. Bosse, how do you plead here? Basically, the home state paper says you guys just don't know the full record.
Well, that's not true. And at this point, the Star Ledger is Chris Christie's crazy ex-girlfriend. They dated him in 2013. They broke up with him last year, and now they're going around town bad-mouthing anybody that he takes out to dinner. So I don't think they have a whole lot of credibility when it comes to Chris Christie. We looked at his record. We think he was a great governor.
You want to stick with that metaphor, Mr. Bosse?
Yeah, they're just going around saying bad things. Maybe their headline should have been "Newspaper that endorses Christie slams newspaper that endorses Christie."
What about this? Let's take the Star Ledger out of it. I mean, does it factor into your process the fact that he really is very unpopular right now in the state of New Jersey? He's underwater in approval rating. A vast majority of New Jerseyans want him to quit the presidential race. And that compares to someone like, say, John Kasich, also a governor, also in this race, who has quite a favorable view among the people in the state he governs.
Well, traditionally, in this year, we don't put a lot of stock in polls. That's not how we make decisions. We look at who we think would be the best president, who we think would be the best nominee. You follow the Buckley rule and nominate the most conservative candidate who can win. We think that's Chris Christie.
So you think the voters in New Jersey are just wrong, basically, about when they assess their own governor's possible performance as president?
I think the voters of New Jersey were right in 2009, and they were right in 2013, and he's been a good governor.
What do you think has been so good about his governing?
He's a fiscal conservative in a Democratic state. You look at other governors who've got pretty good records. Governor Jindal and Walker and Perry are out of the race. Governor Bush and Walker have got good records, but they're all governors in Republican states. They kind of have the home field advantage. When you're a pro-life, anti-tax, conservative Republican like Chris Christie, every day is a road game, and he's shown he can win on the road in a blue state. He's balanced 6 budgets in a row. He's vetoed 70 tax increases. He's passed pension reform. He's passed teacher tenure reform for New Jersey schools. He's had real conservative accomplishments in a blue state, and we think that'll serve him very well in Washington.
But he's also, I mean, part of the problem, right, is he's also reneged on that pension reform. He's kicked the can down the road on the payments. He's overseen 9 credit downgrades. He's overseen an economy that has lagged behind the national economy in terms of recovery, in terms of things like job creation.
Well, you want to talk pensions? Let's talk pensions. He's put $4 billion into the pension system, more than all New Jersey governors before him combined. He passed significant reform to the pension plan. And the problem came when you were looking for the next step to try to address not just pensions, but retiree health. He put out a roadmap, and the Democrats walked away. The unions walked away and stopped the next step. In fact, back in, I believe it was August, Fitch Ratings said that the governor's roadmap would have greatly helped the state's long-term fiscal plan.
Well, let me ask you this. He said something interesting this morning on our air about climate change. Take a listen.
Do you believe in climate change? Well, sure. Is it occurring? And
the climate's always
man-made?
changing. The climate's always changing, and we cannot say that our activity doesn't contribute to changing the climate. What I'm saying is it's not a crisis. I don't buy the fact that it's a crisis. I don't buy the fact that it's a crisis. I just don't.
Why not?
Because I don't believe it is, and I don't think there's any evidence that it's a crisis.
What do you think of a governor who oversaw Hurricane Sandy, who was there when a 100-year storm hit his own state, put much of it underwater, says it's not a crisis?
Are you saying that Superstorm Sandy was caused by global warming, Chris? Come on, you've got no evidence of that. You're just making that up.
I'm sorry? No. There's no
evidence.
There's no one specific cause, but you realize that the sea level was already higher due to global warming. There's actually a pretty good reporting that shows that hundreds, if not thousands, of homes were flooded that wouldn't have been in the absence of climate change raising the water level.
That's ridiculous. And we've got a president that wants to take on climate change and won't take on ISIS. He says the real enemy is cynicism. Well, forgive me if I'm a little cynical about that. I think we need a president who's got his priorities in order and that thinks that national security is the real priority and the real threat and the real crisis and not climate change.
There's been, if I'm not mistaken, I think 9,000 airstrikes overseen by this president ISIS, just as for the record. Grant Bosse, thanks for joining us.